Welcome back to the Charlie Cook Cricket Podcast. Now, India win the second test. England look relatively useless throughout, with the exception of Jamie Smith being quite good in the middle. Akash Deep comes back into the side and looks incredible. Shubman Gill scores the second most runs anyone's ever scored in a test match before. So he's had a pretty good time. I'm joined with Jack, aka Left Arm Seamer. We're going to go through the test match, day 5, most of it, and probably some changes that we want to make for the Lords starting on Thursday. Jack, where does this rank for you in terms of the losses under Stokes?
That's a good question. In terms of margins, I think it's got to be right up there with runs. That's over. I think it's over 300 run defeat.
I think it's still only third or fourth. It's not as high as you'd expect it to be. We lost. So Ranchi was, or Rajkot or wherever it was 434, and then New Zealand over the winter was 424 in that last game.
Yeah, it should surprise me, but it doesn't really because we just say it's the way we play. But ultimately, if we sort of being set big targets like that, we can sort of claim the moral victory that teams feel like they need that hugest target to be competitive. They are a little bit scared of our chasing power, but when it doesn't pay off and reality kicks in and it's actually quite a tough fifth wicket day, then when we get bowled out for 250, which is not really a bad effort from most fourth innings, but because the target was so high, I guess that might mean why the margins are so high.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think that actually works against us as someone. If I'm Shubman Gill and everyone was moaning that he didn't declare early enough, and there was a point today where it looked like, especially when it was raining in the morning, that it looked like a little bit of a stupid idea to bat on for so long. But I think Shubman Gill realised that this team can't try and save a game. They're not going to be able to do that. It doesn't matter how many runs they score. They could have still been batting at lunch and we still would have been bowled out today. Because unfortunately, whether they don't have the skill to do it, they don't have the temperament to do it, or that they're just bone idle and just don't want to do it in the first place, they are not. They just don't have the ability to bat out for a draw. And as incredible as Jamie Smith has been this test, that shot was the stupidest shot I have ever seen in cricket. It's up there with what was the West Indian when they were batting out for a draw and the two
Shannon
balls.
Gabriel.
Yes, goes for a big hoik
Yeah.
and loses the game. It's up there with there for me because that's like, okay, Smith and Cast together. Cast can bat a bit. If these two can get it to the new ball, then all of a sudden England might have a chance here. But to go 2 sixes and then be caught on the boundary is just stupid.
Yeah, I do agree. He did play fantastically well, but yeah, it's just that we keep sort of repeating. It's just the game management. We want the Bazball with brains, like Michael Vaughan called it last test, and today was this test in particular was just Bazball without the brains. The cut, yeah, him and Cast were looking quite comfortable as well, and we saw Bashir even come in at the end and look to the surprise of many of us actually, although he was swinging, but he hit a couple of decent shots.
That ramp that he got given out caught behind and he reviewed. That's my favourite shot I think I've ever seen.
So,
Just horrendous. Yeah, I just, I mean, we were never going to chase this down. It was just never going to happen, especially when the rain came and there was only 80 overs left and
yeah.
we lost wickets last night. It was not going to happen. At what world would you think that going up 4 and over is a good idea? I know it's natural game stuff and you don't want to go too far away from it. And I want you to, I wanted Jamie Smith to be 7 off 100 and just give him nothing because the pitch is still flat. Okay, there's a few footholes out there and a bit of rough outside the left-handers off stump for Jadeja. Apart from that, there's not much happening. Akash Deep had a couple of good ones, but that was only with the new ball. As soon as the ball got soft, that's it. You can't take wickets on it. It was terrible, the pitch.
Yeah, I do agree. You look at how good form Jamie Smith was in, and he could have easily just done a rear guard action and just blocked 150 balls. And you go in, if we go through all the dismissals, like Stokes missed a straight one pretty much, and this is the frustrating thing I'm finding with Stokes. He's out of form, obviously, but his sort of reaction when he gets out, he's always making out that he's been like harshly treated or the ball's done amazing things, but he just basically missed a straight one.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see the ball live. I just saw the reaction. I was doing something else, and then I heard the big LBW appeal, and then it was, oh, he's given it. So I've looked at the screen, and I'm just seeing Stokes stood there saying, "Oh, how have you given that out?" I'm thinking he's middled it, and I was like, and then I looked at the replay. I was like, oh no, you have just missed a straight one. That's stone dead. Why are you even looking at it? I mean, Stokes is an issue.
Yeah,
The average is now under 30 for the last 2 years. He hasn't scored a century since Lords in the Ashes. And the problem is even kind of leading up to that, he hadn't been in great form anyway. I think he's only scored I think he scored 2 tons since he's been captain, which just doesn't seem good enough.
yeah. It's almost getting to the stage now where we need to be having a conversation, but
He's
the
also our
fact
best bowler, which is the
that's the
issue.
thing. He bowled very well at Headingley. This test, he underused himself this test for some reason. I don't know why. My sort of inner gut feeling is that I hope he's not carrying a little bit of a knock from bowling so well at Headingley. Um, and with the bat, yeah, he's just not been in great form now for 2 years. And you can argue since he's become captain, but he's transformed the side. And I'm not calling for him to be dropped, but maybe drop down to 7. But then that's him almost admitting defeat, that I'm not good enough, and he's always sort of prided himself as being our number 6. And but something needs to be done, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a knock on him of not being captain, of not being at number 6. So when you've got someone as good as Jamie Smith, who is now averaging close to 60 with the bat after the 12 tests that he's played or whatever it is, I don't think that's wrong that Smith goes to 6 and Stokes goes to 7.
Definitely.
If that's going to be better for the team. The other issue you have, though, is that Jamie Smith is very good at batting with the tail, whereas has Stokes still got that in him? I don't know. So I mean, his average as captain isn't actually that far away from his career stats. So it's 33 and a half with 2 centuries, 9 50s.
He had a good start, yeah.
Yeah, it was that first summer, and then going into 2023 was okay. But 2024 was 28.6, no centuries, 550s. And then 2025 so far, the 3 tests that he's played, he's averaging 19, and hasn't got a higher score than 33 so far.
Yeah, I saw something on Twitter. It's quite interesting how we're all complaining about our opener, Zach Crawley and Ollie Pope, but they both average more than Ben Stokes in the last 2.5 years, remarkably. Because Zach Crawley has actually averaged, I think, just over 30, whereas Ben Stokes is now under 30. So it's cool, just about edges him.
It's a worry. I mean, there was a world where I was like, oh, well, we'll just put Stokes at 8 and just get really funny with it and put Pope in at 6, Smith at 7, Stokes at 8, and you fit Bethelen at 3. It doesn't seem as crazy anymore, putting Ben Stokes at 8, especially, I think he's got to go down to 7.
Definitely.
If he wasn't captain, I'd be sat here right now saying he needs to be dropped, which is a shame, but he is still quite a good captain, although he completely cocked up the toss today. And just, I hope we get away from England are good at chasing. I hope we can forget that now, and if the pitch is flat, we bat. Because we got away with it at Headingley. As good as that chase was, India dominated that game for most of it, and England just hung around. Something they've been very good at is just hanging around. But in this game, India buried us like they didn't in the last game, and we paid for making a mistake at the toss.
Yeah, I do agree. I mean, at the time of the toss, I thought, yeah, why not? Because of Headingley. But after like half the day, I put my hands up and admitted I got it. I would have had it wrong if I was captain. Yeah, that's a good question you just put it. How, if he wasn't captain, would he still be in the side? And yeah, we'd be definitely calling for him to be dropped. It's really just the captaincy that's keeping him, and the fact that he's starting to bowl again. But if he was doing this without bowling, we really would need to have a bit of a think. Him at 8, I don't mind. Maybe if that meant Bashir did miss out and we just went for 4 seamers, and then we had like Bethel and Root to bowl the spin.
Yeah,
But
I think that could work. I think the thing is they've added Atkinson now. Atkinson's come into the squad, and they haven't made any other changes apart from that. There'll be changes to the 11. You'd imagine that there'll be a full new set of bowlers,
yeah,
pretty much, apart from Bashir. So it will most likely be Atkinson, Jofra, and then it's whether they want to stay with the all-rounder and go Overton, or they go Sam Cook. Sam Cook's no mug with the bat. He's not. He's a pretty good number 9. Atkinson's got a Test century. I'd be relatively happy with him at 8. So I don't think that shortens the batting lineup, and we know that Jofra Archer can throw the bat around a bit. So I haven't got any problem. It's not like we're going back to the Ashes of 23, where Broad was coming out at 8 at the tender age of 37 or whatever he was at the time. I'm not too worried about that. So that's probably going to be the changes. I mean, if it was your team, who's your playing 11 for Lords?
yeah. If it was purely down to me, I think I'd make this change we were talking about the other day. I would put Bethel instead of Pope, and I'd move Smith up to 6. I'd have Stokes at 7, and I'd have Gus at 8. I'd go for Cook over Overton. I'd feel very nervous, in fact, about Overton bowling at the moment in a Test match. So I'd go Cook at 9, Archer at 10, and reluctantly Bashir at 11.
Yeah, I'd drop Bashir. I think that's done. But also, it gives you an option because all of a sudden now you don't pick Bashir and you pick Dawson,
Yeah,
or you pick, I don't know, Jack Carson, Rian Ahmed, any of the kind of spinners that can bat a bit as well. Then you don't have to worry about always having to play Wokes because you want that batting depth. Because Dawson at number 8 in a Test match, that's good. That's really good. I mean, the bloke's averaged 20 with the ball and 50 with the bat for the last 2 years in county cricket. That's got to mean something at some point.
yeah. It would tick so many boxes if we just picked him. And well, he hasn't been called up for the squad, so I can't see it happening really. I mean, he may get a call in the Ashes if he continues to have a great season for Hampshire, but it just seems like Bashir's never really going to lose it. Although you can almost, like we said on after day 2, that you can see even Stokes doesn't trust him as much now. He used to give Bashir all these attacking fields and really sort of giving him everything possible to get a wicket, but now he accepts you're going to go at 4 and over. He puts the field back, and it's just a case of trying to just speed up the game. Really, just let India get their 400 runs. That's how it feels to me, anyway.
I think he's got the worst economy rate for anyone that's bowled the same amount of balls as him.
Yeah,
Which is a worry. You take that Zimbabwe test out, the last 11 tests, he's averaging like 54. Surely you can get that output from someone else that can also bat and field, rather than throwing Bashir out there. I'm done. I'm done at this point. I liked the experiment. It was good fun. He's had the occasional moment, but I just think we are now getting to the point where, and Stokes and McCullum have got to realise this, and Rob Key has got to realise this, that if we now lose more games than we win out of the next 8, they're all gone. They are all sacks. And that's as simple as it is. So if you still want to keep going on this project with Bashir, for projects you ain't going to be there for in 8 months, then that's absolutely fine. But if you want to win these tests and keep your job, then that's it. It's done. And the thing is with Stokes is, he's not going to get the Joe Root treatment of, oh yeah, come on Joe, come back into the side because he's our best player. The bloke is going to fall apart any moment and can't bat anymore. So if he's not captain, there is no reason for him to be in the side whatsoever. So Stokes has lost his Test career. McCullum's lost his job and isn't going to get another job because of all the rigmarole that English cricket's gone through. And Rob Key will probably get a job back at Sky. that's where we stand at the moment.
It always happens down under with Ashes. If we lose it badly, then managing director and captain lose their job. It's happened the last 4 times, I think.
Yeah, and if we lose this series against India, then there's those questions are being asked before we even make it to Australia, let alone after Australia. I mean, the one thing that annoys me, and it's happened throughout, is that the media just doesn't seem to question them.
Yeah.
It just so when Jamie Smith got out today, the commentary was like he's unlucky there. What a good Test match he's had. When really, I want him. I want the Sonny Gavaskar stupid. That's what I want. I said, why have you played that shot? Because every England fan is sat there thinking, oh, why have you just done that? Not, oh well, that's the way he plays. No.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, it's sort of like with children now. Sometimes you have to feed them vegetables. You can't keep giving them candy all the time,
I
and
know.
that's a bit like how it is here. And yeah, you almost want sort of a Jeffrey Boycott back on TMS because I'm sure he wouldn't be saying the same things.
No. And the problem is, the only one that really kind of questions them, especially on TMS, is Vaughan. And half the time, most of the stuff that spouts out of Vaughan's mouth is utter shit anyway, so no one listens to it. It's they've got on my nerves, this Test match. They have really got on my nerves. My 11 would be Crawley's gone for me. Haynes comes in. Do you know what? I'd even be tempted by Sibley. You know,
Yeah,
I'd even be tempted by Sibley. See off a Bumrah spell looks quite nice. See off a Hazelwood and Cummins for a bit.
he's
Wait
great
until
for
Lyon
too.
comes in. He's literally just coming off a 300. And he plays for Surrey, and they only pick players from Surrey, so that's absolutely fine. So yeah, I'd go there. Duckett, Bethel, Root, Brook, Smith, Stokes, Dawson, Cook, Atkinson, Archer.
I think that's
That is it, isn't it?
Archer
9,
at
10,
11.
11. Yeah, change the bowlers around however you want them to. That's who I'd have. That's a side that bats down to 11, who's got a spinner that's taken God knows how many wickets in county cricket and looked incredible when he did actually play for England recently
Yeah,
in
the team.
Liam Dawson.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely the sensible team there. You think common sense would prevail and they'd go for an 11 like that, but they've already named the squad now and they haven't picked Dawson or another opener, which it is frustrating.
it's going to be what it's going to be. Should we talk about the team that actually won the Test match?
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, India. I know that you were waiting. This one, we only get views when we lose. So, hello, Indians. We'll talk about your team now. Shubman Gill, incredible, has scored 400 and something runs. Just utterly unbelievable. The second most runs anyone's ever scored in a Test match before.
Yeah, it's an incredible stat. It went unnoticed yesterday almost because he broke so many records: 250 and a 150 in a Test, the second most of all time. And I think India scored over 1,000 runs as a team as well. But yeah, Shubman Gill, I think he only needs 18 more runs in the next 3 Test/6 innings to score the most ever runs from an Indian batter in England. And it's just incredible. He'll do that. He'll probably do that in the first morning at Lords
Yes, because we would have won the toss and put them
and
in.
bowl first.
um, yeah, I mean, it's looking like he could break Bradman's record
Yeah,
of most
definitely.
runs in a series. He could be the first ever player to score 1,000 runs in a Test series, which would just be ridiculous.
And you can see it happening. That's the thing. It's a war unless we change our bowling attack, which I think we will. But I can really see him going 800 to 900, and then possibly even overtake Bradman.
Yeah, especially if we keep rolling out these decks,
Yeah,
because he's got issues, Gil. He's not the perfect batsman. You don't get to averaging kind of, 35 or whatever he was doing, and being the perfect batsman before he came over here. And there's no movement. When it's a relatively weak bowling attack, when the pitch is flat, he just cashes in.
yeah.
Everything else, he's right about his game. It's the moving ball that he struggles against and just hasn't had the moving ball to play. Whether that's down to the pitches or England not being able to do it. Because the other man that was incredible in this test, in Akash Deep, who has made all the difference, and Jesus, towards the end there, he worried me more than Bumrah did in the first test.
Yeah, what a selection he was. Came out of the blue as well. I didn't think they were going to pick him. I thought they would either go Kuldeep or Arshdeep Singh. But he's been brilliant in this test. He's been the only bowler that's got. Well, Siraj has been good as well, but Deep's the one that's got the most swing and movement. He looks like he's bowling with a different ball, which is a real worry for England. 6 wickets here, and the thought of on Thursday they're obviously going to pick Bumrah now, probably for Prasid Krishna. So to have to have Deep, Siraj, and Bumrah as a trio, that's frightening.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they go with Siraj. Obviously, he'll be coming off
back-to-back tests.
Back-to-back tests as well. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there. But I think if they were to pick an Arshdeep or someone like that to come into the side, I don't think that causes them too many issues. Just the thing that I'm going to say is that I really wouldn't be surprised if England just go on and win the next test. I just wouldn't be surprised. I've sat here and moaned about them and said how good India are, how bad are England. Just really wouldn't surprise me if they go on, win the next test, and end up winning the series 3-2, 4-1. Just wouldn't surprise me because I've seen this England team do it before. It goes back 2-0 in the Ashes, and you're thinking, this is the most stupid team I've ever seen in my life. How could they do this? Why are they doing this? And then all of a sudden, Wooden Wokes come into the team and a couple of changes, and then everything looks right and it looks incredible and it looks like we'll never lose a test again. I could really see that happening, and Jofra Archer flies through him on the first morning, and there was points where England had this game. I mean, even Stokes talks about it. You get the couple of the umpires' calls got back on day one, and they're 30 for 3, or when they're 200 for 5 that we had them, and they're bowled out for 350, 400. England get to parity. Akash Deep doesn't produce a couple of miracle balls, ones that singed a foot back, and then there's a world where this is different. It just felt like Headingley papered over some cracks that you could kind of see coming, and then this one, bad loss, has to be a bad reaction. Because otherwise, if I just sat here and said everything is fine, and we'll come back and we'll win the next test, then there's something wrong with what I'm doing. But because there is problems, this isn't a perfect team. Joe Root still hasn't scored any runs. I expect him to at some point. It's Joe Root. He averages 50 in Test cricket. He's like the 4th highest run scorer, whatever he's up to now. He's going to score runs at some point. Yeah, they'll have Bumrah back, but I think we actually looked a little bit better when we played Bumrah, and I thought we were a little bit smarter.
Yeah, the Bumrah fact is quite interesting because I think they just. I mean, I'm not criticising Bumrah at all. He's by far the greatest bowler around, but they put so much emphasis on him being this god with the ball that I feel the other seamers do struggle. You see how better Siraj is once Bumrah's not playing. I think they all bowl better as a team when he's not there, but yeah, he's the best bowler in the world by far. So he definitely comes back in, and yeah, I agree with your point that we're starting to sound a little bit like Brendan McCullum, but we will just sort of put this defeat to bed and believe we can win on Thursday because I wouldn't say it's evenly matched. The bowling's been the biggest concern for me. The batting, we always know that we can pull off remarkable things and we can just fall apart, but to be so lackluster with the ball is is the biggest concern for me.
Yeah, and hopefully Lords has a bit more life in it. Because
Yeah.
I did think that the one thing that we struggled with the bat is that there was just no pace in this pitch. There was just nothing. So when it was coming onto the bat, there was just nothing to play off. Especially when the ball went soft or trying to play against a new ball, it just didn't feel like there was anything that. I mean, you could tell that Duckett really struggled on it, and it's usually the slow pitches that he struggles on because it's not as fluid for him, and he can't score in those unusual areas. And
Yeah.
you go back to the grounds that he did well on. Throughout, and it is ground Lords. He's usually done pretty well on. He actually always does well at Lords. He's
It's
got.
fast paced, part of a pitch, a bit of pace, definitely for Duckett.
Hmm.
And Root will definitely, like you said, he's due a big score. He's he's the greatest player that's ever been for England. So he's due at least, you'd like to think, 200s in this series. So
Hmm. Um, yeah, frustrating loss. Really good win for India. Keeps the series alive. I mean, if they go down 2-0 in this one, then the series is a bit dull at the end of it. I think England will bounce back. I think India are going to take some confidence in. I think we have a really good test come Thursday. I'm glad we haven't got a break. It feels like we are going to get straight back into it on Thursday. I'm going Thursday and Friday, so we will be absolutely useless on day 1 and day 2, just to warn everyone, because I've never ever seen England play well. Haven't ever seen it. Every time I've ever been to the cricket, we've been bad. I'm trying to think of the last few years I went to the cricket. I think I watched Sri Lanka bat for most of the day last year. Who else did we play? West Indies. Was the day I had was Jimmy's last day where he couldn't take a
nice.
wicket. Um, all I wanted to do was see him take his last ever Test wicket. Didn't happen. Um, I didn't go to the Ashes because my daughter was born, and then I think the year before that was when we lost to South Africa by an innings.
That's after Bazball, wasn't that? Yeah, I remember that game.
So yeah, it's been pretty poor stuff. And I think the game that I missed in that 2022 summer was when Joe Root knocked off a century, and it was the first ever win under Bazball. So pretty tough
Nice.
times whenever I go. So expect us to be completely useless. But we'll be back on Thursday for a day 1 review, probably from the ground. So I will see you guys then. We might have another podcast in the next day or so, recapping some of the stuff that's happened in the Australia series so far. But please remember to like, please remember to subscribe, all the usual stuff. Do go check out Jack. All of his links will be down in the description and the show notes. And I will see you guys in the next one.